Welcome. Some people like discussing bug out bags, but here I'm going to be talking about cognition and things which you can carry in your mind. Your mind being the greatest tool. What good is a tool if you don't know how to use it? So I'm not talking about fire lighting, hunting, shelters, food, purifying water, etc. To me, none of that will matter if your mind cannot handle the stresses. Is your mind geared for creating solutions or geared for creating destruction? A simple test is to observe what is going on around you. That is a reflection of how well you are using your mind as a tool. If you're able to relax and enjoy yourself, that is a sign of surviving. Panic is a sign that survival is heading towards crisis. Recognize the signs. And when things do get tough, many default to these survival behaviors, even if they're not planning to go hike. Survival mode has kicked in. If we look around, we'll see how many city folk are frantically operating from this mode. These are not true solutions being presented. These are reflections of destructive insecurity which without containment becomes the overlord. They will instead control you and prevent you from thriving. You'll be the one that is contained. If you can't use your mind and structure it, someone else will. Someone who is secure will not need to battle trying to balance the scales, as they have the control to be able to regulate themselves. They do not need to control or manipulate others. They can self-parent the child within. The solutions they present will be fair. That there is a clue on how to tell what motivates the intent behind this solution. When you truly survive, you can then become civilized. Civilized does not mean you live in a community or a city with comforts and fighting for your daily bread in competition with one another. It means you can work with your environment and its inhabitants, instead of trying to control over it. People today, within their populated utopias, are far from civilized. Sadly, their behavior is not much different than parasitical, self-serving at the cost to others. Taking all that we can in the short amount of time we have on Earth, and leave others to deal with our mess of decayed remains. And there's an expectation we will be remembered with fond memories because of the way we present the facade. We are far from being an advanced species. People want to thrive, but they want to skip conquering surviving. At this point you are asking for too much. Skip the hard work for what is easy. Only when it can no longer be avoided, and even then there is still reluctance. Get your priorities right. Do not become blinded by purely focusing on thriving. You cannot thrive without learning the skill of managing your survival first. What is failed to be realized is, if you can survive facing your inner wounds and who you are, that is already a big achievement. You are at a place where many struggle to be. The secret is not believing you need to survive. Hear me out. When you were born, you were birthed from a miracle. When you stop chasing and instead just are, you move from resistance to acceptance. When you hold on to the constant fear life will end, it prevents you living in the moment and you become afraid. And so when you eventually die, you are not afraid. You have accepted. You have survived life. Let us now go over our list. If you do any of these things, you could be showing signs of insecurity and being in a survivalist mindset. Stubbornness, determination. Good for wanting to keep alive. Bad because you won't try a new line of thought. Attention. Helps focus concentration. The bad, obsession, narrow-sightedness. Endurance. Keeps you going. Bad, becoming exhausted. Exhaustion. Impulsive. Good for quick decision making. Opportunity may not come again. Bad. Decisions can be detrimental. Aggression. Good to ward off danger. The bad. Scare people away. Become frustrated at tasks. Lose your cool. Environmental awareness. Good to know what's around. The bad. You could end up lacking situational awareness. Fear. Keeps you cautious. The bad. Afraid to do what needs doing. Scarcity. Could be felt as I need and I want. Keeps you searching, on the move. Bad. Can lead to panic, desperation. Solitude. Good for self-development. The bad. Become withdrawn, depressed, lonely. Possible insanity. Risk taking. Payoff can be bountiful. The bad. Go bust. Lose more than you can afford. Feel good. Promotes motivation, levity. Helps to avoid slumps of depression. Bad. Denial. Can't handle disappointments. Crashing. I think you get the idea. You could probably expand and add some more of your own. You might notice there is no right answer. It's about how you look at things and a reflection on what works. The pros can swap over to cons, and the cons can be turned into pros. Salvation and annihilation are closely linked. Neither have to be. You could be somewhere in between. The danger is the limitation of black and white thinking, not being able to use the appropriate amount when assessing the situation. There may be times when being absolute is needed. However, too much of anything is bad. So recognize when being too much. All or nothing is disparity and lazy. Again, it's easy to do without being consciously aware, and is disrespect to others as well as yourself. Taking time to deliberate and consider is a practice of wisdom. Someone who is hot-headed, short-fused, isn't exactly being wise. The skill really comes from self-awareness, self-management, self-control, discipline, keeping the ego in check, things like that. When these true skills are learned, then whatever happens, you can survive the mind.